Hey, mamas, and welcome back to the So Well podcast, where we focus on helping moms of color prioritize mental health, self care, and inner growth. I'm your host, Autumn Cologne, and I'm excited to dive into today's topic: rest and recovery. How slowing down can be the key to speeding up your growth. In a world that glorifies hustle culture, slowing down can feel counterproductive. I mean, all of the messages that we're hearing all the time is grind it out, woman boss, mompreneur, go as hard as you can, sleep is forbidden. I mean, these are the messages that I have been bombarded with pretty much all of my life. But what if I told you that rest isn't a sign of weakness? It's a strategy for success. And today we're going to unpack why rest and recovery are essential for your growth and how you can embrace slowing down to speed up in the long run. Okay, so let's get into it, y'all. Before we go into the episode, I always like to ground us in affirmations. And today's affirmation reads: when I change my thoughts, I can change my life. When I change my thoughts, I can change my life. I always love it when I pull an affirmation card that closely relates to what we're going to be talking about today. And we're talking about rest. And in order for you to really take in what is going to be talked about in this episode, I need you to change your mind a little bit. And I also want to let you guys know that everything that I'm sharing on this podcast is not coming from a place of hierarchy. I am a regular mom, just like you. I am managing children, entrepreneurship, school, trying to be healthy, friendships, marriage, just like probably most of our listeners on this episode. And so this advice doesn't come from a place of knowing it all. It comes from a place of just wanting to share and just wanting to give you guys more insight to help you feel empowered to make change and to heal well and to love yourself. And so, with that, we're going to get into today's episode, starting with talking about hustle culture. All right, so let's start by addressing the myths of constant hustle. Society tells us that the only way to achieve our goals is to work harder, push through exhaustion, never stop. The messages we hear are just a constant state of hustle culture. But we all know, as moms listening to this podcast, to be honest, all it really does is lead to burnout, right? That hustle mentality, that working hard, that never stopping, that does not lead to success. It leads to stagnation. What your CEOs of Fortune 500s and entrepreneurs who are successful aren't telling you is that they have help. And so they have the ability to do more. They aren't telling you that they're able to rest. To be able to do what it is that they need to do. But I'm here to tell you, because I'm going to keep it real, right? When we're running on empty, we're not operating at our best. And that impacts every area of our lives, from being and showing up as the best mom we can possibly be, to our careers, to our relationships, and our mental health. I want you to think about this, right? You have a car cannot run without gas. And even if you drive a Tesla, eventually you're going to need to hit up a supercharger. You're going to need to refuel. And we too, moms, we need rest and recovery to allow us to do what we do. And I want you to know that when you neglect that, we end up stuck, spinning our wheels without moving forward. Rest is not a luxury. It's a necessity. It is your right. It is your privilege. Okay. Studies have shown that rest improves creativity, problem solving, and decision making. When we step back and allow our minds and bodies to recover, we gain clarity, perspective, and energy to move forward with our purpose. Last week's episode, we talked about vision. We talked about setting an action plan. We talked about dreams to done. You can't achieve your dreams if you aren't fueled properly. Okay. And so rest is your right. And so I want you to think of rest like planting a garden. You can't water it nonstop. and expect immediate growth. You need to let the soil settle, give the plant sunlight, and wait for nature to take its course. Your growth works the same way. It requires moments of pause to thrive. I'm going to say that again. It requires your success, okay, and your growth requires you to pause to thrive. Now, I want to make sure that the Soul Well podcast, that you are not just hearing a lot of filler content. My goal for this is really for you to walk away from each episode with actionable steps that you can take right now to incorporate what I'm talking about. So while we'll still have our guest episodes, right, where we're having really deep conversations and learning about mom stories and hearing from our wellness educators and facilitators, that's all great. But I want this new year in 2025 and this new way that we're doing the podcast to be an opportunity for you to take notes and then take action. And so, with that, I want to share with you some resources. So, before we dive into those actionable steps, I'm always going to give you some resources because I'm not just pulling this out of my, out of nowhere. I want you to know that this comes from a place of research and really constantly always working on myself and wanting to give to others what I have learned. I'm currently in the process of pursuing my degree to become a psychologist. And so everything that I'm learning and the tips that I'm sharing, what I've used to better my own life and the lives of people who I work with in counseling, that's what all this information is coming for. And so I want to give you these three resources that I think would be really helpful for you. So the first one is a book. It beautifully explores the sacredness of rest and how stillness can help us reconnect with our true selves. That book is called Rest is Sacred: Reclaiming Our Brilliance Through the Practice of Stillness. Okay, so that is a really, really great book. It is written by Octavia Rahim, so another Black woman. Okay, that is a really great book. Make sure you check that one out. The next one that I'm going to recommend to you is Rest is a Resistance. Okay, a manifesto written by the author Tricia Hersey. She is the founder of the NAP Ministry. If you are not familiar with what the NAP Ministry is, Tricia calls herself the NAP Bishop, okay? And they really, really explore in this manifesto our troubled relationship with rest and how to imagine and dream a future where rest is exalted. It is such a great read, a quick read. So whether you do it on audiobooks or get the hardcover, this really challenges the idea of grind culture and reminds us that rest is an act of resistance, especially for communities like ours that have been historically denied it. Okay. And so the next one is actually a product of the NAP Ministry, and it is the NAP Ministry's Rest Deck: 50 Practices to Resist Grind Culture. This deck offers practical, bite-sized practices to incorporate into your daily life. It's a wonderful tool for anybody who needs actionable steps to get to where they're going. These resources remind us that rest is not just a pause, but it is a profound act of reclaiming, okay, and a profound act of self-care. So you're not just doing this because you want to nap for nap's sake, though you have that right. Rest is it's for you. It's needed. It's not just for the betterment of growth. It is your right. It's your human innate right. So go take a nap. All right, so let's get into the actionable steps. What do we do? What can you do right now after you listen to this podcast to start to reframe rest in your mind and begin to partake in intentionally taking time? Um, let's talk about how you can make it a priority. These three steps help you to embrace rest and recovery in your life, and you can do them today. The first one is going to be schedule your rest. Treat rest as a non negotiable. Block time in your calendar for a nap, quiet reflection, meditation, or just 10 minutes to breathe. If it's scheduled, it's sacred. If you are anything like me, who is a newer divergent mama with many, many things, if it's not on the schedule, it's not happening. And so schedule your rest. The next one is going to be listen to your body. Pay attention to what your body is telling you. Are you tired, irritable, unfocused? You could even use an app to start to track sleeping, right? And just tell yourself, hey, am I feeling this way because I just didn't get enough rest? Do I need to pause? Do I need to take a nap? These are signs that you need to pause, right? If your body is irritable and you're stressed and you're not focused and you can't, finish an email, honor these signals instead of pushing through them. I know our culture tells us, push through, do the to-do list, but also the to-do list isn't going to get done in a way that's intentional without you paying attention to what your body needs most. And then lastly, it is redefine productivity. I want you to remember that productivity isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is rest so that you can come back stronger. So these are your three actionable steps. Very easy to remember, not always easy to do, right? As us moms, we always, we're like, I'm going to take all this information in, but actually doing it can sometimes be difficult. But these are easy, right? Schedule your rest, listen to your body, and begin to redefine what productivity is. And so I want you to remember, moms, that, putting yourself last, we're not doing that no more. We're not doing that in 2025. Like, we're not doing that. I want you to remember that rest that you are seeking is essential. So allow yourself the rest. You're not only nurturing your own growth, but also setting an example for your children about the importance of self-care and taking care of self. I want to remind you, if you are listening to this podcast for the very first time, or maybe you're a longtime listener and haven't joined yet, you should join our Mom Space community. It is a safe space for candid conversations, support, and resources to help you prioritize your well being while navigating motherhood. We are doing this together. It takes a village to raise a mother. That is our mantra, that is our mood. And I want to see you in the Mom Space. So, if you are interested, check out the show notes, or go to our website, sowell.co/ the mom space, so you can join us. We want to support you, girl. We want to support you. So change starts right here. Right. I'm going to close this episode by saying, we as mothers who birth nations, who birth communities, we have to change the narrative. Rest isn't the enemy of growth, it's the fuel for it. By slowing down, you're giving yourself the space to heal, reflect, and move forward with intention. You deserve that and so, so much more. Thank you for tuning in to the Soul Well podcast. Don't forget to follow, share, and leave a review if this episode resonated with you. Check out our resources mentioned in today's episode and let me know what you think of the book. I hope at least you listened to this episode and have learned something. I hope you heal well, and I'll see you next time on the Soul Well podcast. Bye.